Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Handle with Care, Breast Cancer and Beyond. A safe place where both women and men can come and listen to real people talk about their breast cancer experience and the effects that follow well into survivorship. Hosted by Carrie Madrid, a stage 3 breast cancer survivor and founder of the CARE Project. It's time to Handle with Care.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. This episode, I'm speaking to fellow breast cancer survivor and author Ginny Bartlett, or Virginia Bartlett. I know her as Ginny. She is a good friend of mine. She actually sat on the board of directors for my nonprofit, the CARE Project, Inc. for a time. And now she just volunteers as able and is a survivor mentor when possible. And she's got a whole lot going on. So I wanted to just have a conversation with her to talk about her own triple negative breast cancer diagnosis and kind of how she coped with the aftermath, if you will. So kick back and enjoy. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and leave us a review when you're done. If nothing else, always share. You just never know who needs to hear this message. Thanks, guys. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
My special guest today is Ginny Bartlett, a fellow breast cancer thriver and the author of My Lump or My Life, A Journey to True Choice. Welcome.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's tell people, first of all, how we know each other. And I'll let you tell that story.
Wow. Okay. So in 2014, I was curious about a lump I had in my breast, and I had several exams and it was dismissed.
Really?
So, yes. So then in 2016, I had noticed it had been growing and I was kind of in denial. And a good friend of mine had suggested I reach out to you. She knew you. Not because she was a survivor, but her friend was a survivor, and she had connected with you and said, you know, if this really is cancer, you're going to need some support.
Okay, let's go back for a second. So 2014, when you say your lump was dismissed, how did that happen? Like, what did they dismiss it as?
Dense breast tissue.
Okay, because a lot of women hear that.
Yep. They did a mammogram and 3 ultrasounds and dismissed it as dense breast tissue that was inconclusive.
Okay. So 2016, you're still noticing it growing, but you're kind of not doing anything about it. Okay.
By the time 2016 rolled around, it was the size of a plum.
Holy crap.
And you can see it through the surface of my skin, and it had an extra little nodule, which I like to call my third nipple, if you will, growing on it.
So at that point, you could not ignore it.
There was no way to ignore it. I had lost a bunch of weight doing CrossFit, and it was tugging and pulling on my skin underneath because it had grown into the muscle. Ouch. Basically, my pectoral muscle is where it had been growing, and it was underneath the breast. So my bra would rub on it.
Yeah, there was no denying it.
Oh, no.
So you go back
Very
to the
visible.
doctor. Did you go to the same doctor?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. At this time, I didn't have insurance.
Okay.
And I went to an acupuncture doctor first. And here I am, still in denial, like, oh, no, he'll be able to shrink it through acupuncture.
So why
something.
did you go to him? You had been going to him previous? Or?
No, I wanted to do something holistic.
Okay.
And I Google searched him.
Okay.
And he was top rated here in Riverside. He's no longer located here. He moved to New York. However, I decided I was going to go see him and tell him what was going on. He was Eastern and Western medicine trained. So I thought,
best
why
of both
not?
worlds, right?
Why not?
You got nothing to lose.
That's right.
So what did he say?
Well, he said he normally doesn't examine people with a touchy-feely in this situation, but he wanted to look at it. So as soon as he looked at it, he took one look at me and said, you need to go get that checked now. Like, there's no waiting.
Good for him.
And I said, well, I don't have insurance. And he said, well, there's good news for you. I know of a clinic you can go to, and it's tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people will put an exam off or visiting the doctor because they don't have insurance. What is your best advice to them? Because I know that you're a genius in this area.
Go anyway.
Right.
Go anyway. Because by the time I got there, as far advanced as it was, they rolled out the red carpet for me, regardless of whether I had insurance
And
or
there
not.
are some programs out there.
Absolutely.
There are programs out there to fund at least the diagnostics.
Absolutely. The BCCTP program is one that I speak very highly of.
Say it again.
BCCTP. It's
Okay.
Breast Cancer, Cervical Cancer Treatment Plan.
Got it. And is that California specific?
It's actually federal, but California does have their own.
Okay, so you go and you get seen.
I go and I get seen, and wow, I was with a group of homeless people. Only, I mean, for lack of better words, the only white woman there, and mostly people who probably had no jobs, really desperate and desolate, and I felt out of place. I felt like I was taking from them. Like, I could probably afford insurance maybe at that time. I just didn't have it.
But maybe there was other people in that same clinic in the same space as you.
It's possible.
There's a lot of working people that don't have insurance.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way at that time.
Yeah.
I just really felt out of place and alone, if you will.
Yeah.
However, a special doctor took interest in me when he saw my name. And
Why is that?
because my first name legally is Virginia.
Right.
That's his daughter's name.
Oh,
So somebody else was looking at my case, and he heard the name, and he looked across the table, and I can see them from where I was at. And he got up from his chair, went all the way across the table, and took my file, had a conversation with the student who was taking my diagnostics and information, and then started walking towards me. And I was like, oh, boy, this is serious.
this is getting real.
Somebody got up from the end of the table to come see me. Who's
Yeah.
this? And he introduced himself, and he said, have you ever had a male doctor? I said, most of my life. He's like, so are you okay with me taking your case? I said, absolutely. What do you mean taking my case? And he goes, we need to go to an exam room to have a conversation. So it was at that time that he examined me, and he said, I need to see you in my clinic tomorrow. You're getting a mammogram tomorrow.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I don't have insurance.
Now, had you taken your medical records from the first?
No.
Okay.
They drew that. So I told them about this when I got there, and they went back to my medical history and pulled it.
Okay. So that's why he saw the urgency.
Well, no, he saw the urgency because he saw the lump.
Okay. Okay. Got it. I was like, wait.
Oh, no.
How did he know? Okay.
In his exam, he was like, oh, no.
Okay.
Like, this is serious.
So what was your diagnosis once finally diagnosed proper?
I was diagnosed triple negative, stage 3B ductal and carcinoma.
Okay. How did that grab you?
I still didn't believe him.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
I'm
get
asking
real.
because I already know most of this story. I don't remember
like-
everything, but I think that one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on was not just to get exposure for you for your book so that other people can read your story and be inspired or see a different perspective, but because I think that your story in particular, the bits and pieces I do remember through my chemo brain is one, the denial, right? The procrastination. And it's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It just is what it is. And there's a lot of people that go through this. And I think you have a very powerful message for them.
It definitely wasn't, hindsight, if you're looking at it, definitely wasn't the best choice.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
However, at the time, that was my choice.
Yeah.
And that's hence the title, like a true choice. I was choosing for me the way
Right.
that I believed was going to be the best for me
Right.
throughout the entire process.
So what was your treatment plan once you got your diagnosis?
Well, what they wanted to do was 18 rounds of chemo, a single mastectomy, and follow up with radiation.
Okay.
And I said no. And they said, too bad. And I said, no. My body, my choice. This is what I want. And my doctor said, that's not going to happen. And I said,
What did you want?
well, what I wanted was I would do the chemo, but at first I said no to the chemo, and my doctor cried.
Tell me why you said no.
I watched my mom go through treatment after treatment after treatment of different types of experimental things when I was a kid growing up. And I don't know that she ever took chemo. Man, she did radiation, proton therapy, neutron therapy, all these different things.
Did she have breast cancer?
She had a brain tumor.
Okay.
Her mother died of breast cancer.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
My mom was 10. Her mom was 30.
Okay.
And so, I mean, my mom was born in 1946, so in 1956. Her mother was 30 years old and died of breast cancer.
Okay, and then how old was your mom when she was diagnosed?
My mother was diagnosed at the age of 52.
Okay, so young.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had seen that. I always ask survivors that I interview, like, did you know anyone else personally that had gone through any form of cancer? You know,
Well,
so you had that ingrained in your brain of what your mom went through.
Absolutely.
Whether it was breast cancer or not, all you knew is it was cancer, and she went through all these treatments.
Absolutely.
So you were hell-bent, I'm not having chemo.
That's right.
And so how'd that work out for you?
Well, let's just say I had chemo. I mean, let's
He
get
convinced
real.
you.
Well, you know, it's very interesting because I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
And I took it upon myself to say no in the beginning, and he left the room crying.
Wow.
And I got up, and the nurse came in, and she was like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah. She goes, because Dr. Luty's crying. She's like, I've never seen him like this. What happened?
Like, what'd you do to our doctor?
Right. You know, and I was like, well, you know, he wants me to do 18 rounds of chemo and then do this, this, and this. And I'm just a no. I mean, I might do chemo. I want to research. I want to figure out what I'm going to do for me.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. So I did. I mean, I talked to my acupuncture doctor. I told him what he recommended. And he had suggested that I do the chemo. And he said, I will help you counteract the side effects while you're going through it.
So you really had the best of both worlds right there.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really do. I really do. Yeah. I'm blessed.
Absolutely. Yeah. So so you start your chemo. How did he help you combat it? What did you do?
So I got a port installed.
Yeah.
I did the chemo. I did 4 rounds of adriamycin. And during those 4 treatments, my acupuncture doctor performed acupuncture and gave me On Guard.
Okay.
And asked me to do On Guard twice a day. And he assured me that the On Guard would boost my immune system to counteract the side effects of breaking down my white blood cells.
Mm-hmm. Was your oncologist on board with that?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
What did your oncologist say to that?
Said that you're to do nothing, no vegetables, no nothing. And your immune system's going to be compromised. And I had suggested that this helps build your immune system. And he said, well, I don't want to hear it. You're going to do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
You've already proven that. So he didn't really say much.
Yeah.
However, the nurse, every time I came in, she'd go, I know you're taking it. I can see your blood results recovering all good. And
So
I
you
was
were
like,
doing well.
I was.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying or advocating that this is going to work for everybody that way.
This is what
It's
worked for you.
me.
Yeah.
It is what worked for me.
Yeah. And that's ultimately what we always talk about on the show is like, you have to do whatever you feel at peace with.
Absolutely.
Definitely educate yourself. Definitely hear what your docs have to say. Be with docs that you trust. Because if you don't, it doesn't matter how much education they say and what they say. You're never going to trust them. Then you need a new doc.
Well, the reason I stuck with this surgeon is because he went to bat for me 10 times to the tumor board.
Right.
10 times to fight for what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I don't know any other doctor that's done that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. So you get through chemo.
Yep.
And then, did you have surgery before chemo or chemo before surgery? Because some people have chemo before surgery to try to shrink tumors. That's what you had.
I had chemo before surgery because the tumor was so large that they needed to shrink it to actually do the reconstruction even of the muscle.
Okay. Yeah. And to get like a clear margin when they removed the breast. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had chemo and then did you have surgery?
I did.
Okay.
I had surgery about, 2 or 3 months after the chemo because they said it needed to get out of my system.
So you had a double mastectomy with immediate reconstruction.
I did.
So they placed expanders, which helps stretch your skin and all that good stuff so that later on you can take the expanders out and swap them for implants.
Correct.
How did that surgery go for you?
Well, let's just say I learned I'm not very nice when I wake up from
Anesthesia.
anesthesia.
Anesthesia affects people so differently, right? Some people come out laughing. Some people come out just crying hysterically. And some people are raging bitches.
I was a raging bitch.
Well,
and
aren't you special?
I was special. And I didn't know. I mean, I've been put under. I've had other surgeries, but this one was a long time. First off, it was way longer than it was supposed to be, almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I was under longer than I had anticipated, and I was hungry.
Yeah. You're like, I'm hangry now.
Shit, I was hungry.
Yeah, get these needles out of me and give me some
Right?
some
Well,
burger.
I think the biggest thing was that I was frustrated when I woke up with this, is that I'm, a little incoherent, kind of what's going on. And I wasn't by myself. My family was there. However, I didn't understand what the nurse was saying. She was speaking very fast.
Yeah. And you're still coming out of it.
Right.
And, yeah.
So I got upset with her, and it wasn't pretty. And then I felt bad. I did apologize.
I was going to say, do you need to apologize right now?
I already did. I did apologize to her.
So you had your expanders put in. You're recovering from surgery. Is that when I met you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you came, and man, I'll tell you what, like, my family was on a schedule after my surgery. And there was just some times when nobody could be with me, and I couldn't get out of the chair.
Yeah.
It was tough. That's a major surgery. All your muscles and my expander, they've actually removed the muscle from my chest wall. So, I mean,
you don't realize how much, I think females don't realize how much we use our chest muscles, right?
for a lot of things.
Until you don't have them.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had no longer had control over those muscles in my chest.
Yeah.
And so to get up out of that chair was very difficult. So,
Right.
yes, this beautiful angel, Carrie, offered to come and sit with me.
Yeah, so if you listen to the show before, you know that I have my own nonprofit called the Care Project, Inc. And one of the things that we do is provide emotional support for breast cancer patients undergoing and recovering from treatment. So Ginny called, and I was still working from home. I didn't have an office yet. And she said, my friend of a friend or something told me about you. And do you have people that just come, like, go sit with patients, like, while their family runs errands or goes to work or whatever? And I'm like, no, I have me. And I work full time, but I work from home. And so we got to talking, and I said, well, what do you need? Well, I just need someone to sit here for the overlap. It was like 2 hours or something between the time I think David went to work and your son was coming home from the school because he was in high school. And I said, well, do you have internet? You're like, yeah. I'm like, do you mind if I bring my laptop? Because I can sit with you if I can still work from your house. And you were like, yeah. Turned out you live like 2 blocks away. Yeah. So I came down and just spent the afternoon with you, and I didn't do anything. I think I gave you medicine once.
You did.
Yeah.
You got my medication.
And charted it because David had a whole spreadsheet. I had to chart when I gave you.
I think you helped me with my drains, too. I think we did empty
it's kind of
the drains.
It's such a blur.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes you don't want to look back, and so you forget.
Yeah, yeah. So since then, we've become friends.
Absolutely.
You've volunteered for the Care Project. You're an incredible mentor to newly diagnosed, and especially just navigating, like, people that don't have insurance or are underinsured. You're a genius at finding programs that help other people. You've also been really good with helping people, I think, emotionally, giving them good perspective or a different perspective. So talk to me a little bit about that, because after you had surgery, then you did go on and have radiation.
I did not.
You did not.
No.
Oh, no, you did not. That's right.
We had a really awesome conversation. I don't know if you remember. I was sitting in the parking lot going, what just happened? Because I went in for the consultation.
You were going to do it.
I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I was, only because my plastic surgeon and my surgeon, they tag teamed together. They did a fantastic job, and it was recommended by both of them. And I adored them, and all the things that they have told me, I listened. And
you
they
trusted
listened,
them.
and they listened to me.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'm going to give them that courtesy. I'm going to go check it out. So I just remember one thing that happened, and I was like, put on the brakes.
Yeah.
We're not doing this. And what that was is, not only am I BRCA positive, number 2, BRCA2, I also have a gene mutation on the ATM strand of DNA.
Which no one's ever heard of.
Well, it's about 5 or 6 years in now that UCLA has been doing research.
Awesome.
But what it is it becomes a strand of DNA that's disrupted. Instead of 2 chromosomes, there's only 1, and it's damaged. And so it allows, free radicals or whatever it is to get in and disrupt the whole strand. And in my case, having that gene, there's like a 50-50 chance that radiation, your body will overreact to it and cause the cancer to spread.
Oh, hell.
Or it won't.
And what's the percentage?
50%.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
She proceeded to tell me that there's this special test that I could have done. And I was like, okay, great. Well, how do I get that test done?
Sign me up.
And she said, it's $2,500. And I said, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. I think I already know. And here's what really helped me base my decision. After watching my mom for years go through radiation therapy after radiation therapy after radiation therapy of targeted treatments for even tumors that she had on her skin, they would spread. And so I'm remembering this while I'm sitting there going, if my mother had ATM issues, which they didn't do genetic testing back then, so who knows? But I watched her respond to radiation and have it spread. There's a really good chance that that's going to happen to me too. So no.
And kudos to you for recognizing that, because, you know, a lot of us, as we're hearing all this information and you're told like, okay, this is the next step, this is what we do, we just fall in line, you know, because we trust our docs, and we're in a fog and we might be
absolutely
anxious or, you know, whatever the case may be. But the fact that you had enough clarity to really think it through. That's why whenever I need to like talk something out, I usually call you, because I'm a knee-jerk reaction girl. And you're more of a, nope, let's do some research. And I'm like, I don't have patience for that.
Right. And I only research if I'm interested, because I'm a very much a spontaneous reaction kind of person. Yeah. But if I feel like there's something really important on the line, I will step back.
You'll question it.
I will step back and question
That's
it.
a great quality.
Yeah. I've always kind of been that way. I questioned everything my mother did in her treatments and stuff like that. I'm like, why are they doing that? What are we doing that for? What's that?
Yeah.
And I mean, there was lots of
So you
things.
decided not to have radiation.
I decided not to.
Okay.
That's correct.
So talk to me a little bit about the aftermath. Let's fast forward, because we could talk for 16 days straight. You get through the initial, oh my God, this is my diagnosis, surgery, the expanders being placed. Eventually, the implants were swapped in, expanders taken out. How do you feel after? Like, I know that you had, or did you have, a really good support team emotionally?
Absolutely. I had all of you.
Yeah, but I mean, even at home, you had.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you had.
I mean,
fantastic
I did.
support.
I definitely had fantastic support at home. I mean,
right.
My fiance, David,
yeah,
man,
he was a rock.
He was a rock.
Yeah.
And, we've had conversations about what it took for him to be a rock.
Yeah.
And how hard it was for him to
I
go
would
through
love
that.
to have him in so I could talk to him to get his perspective. I know he doesn't like to go back there, but one day I'm going to get him in here. So emotionally speaking, what's the fallout like for you? Are you good? Are you feeling like, okay, I'm through it,
Absolutely.
Moving on? Yeah.
I'm through it. I feel like there are times when occasionally I will feel fatigue.
Yeah.
And I know that as soon as I drink water, I have D3 or D12, all of the vitamin stuff that my body might be missing now because it depletes, as soon as I replenish with those, I feel great.
That's physically.
Oh, physically. Yeah. I mean, emotionally.
But emotionally, I know, because we're friends and we've talked and we've shared a lot of stories. And I know that at various times, both you and I have had days where we just can't shake this dark cloud feeling. And they come and they go. And every survivor I know has had that to some degree, even if it's just one day or if it's a period of a couple weeks after or a couple months. Some people it's years.
Yeah. I can remember it's probably been, I think once I hit the 5-year, I felt better.
Yeah.
I think going through those first 5 years after or during were the roughest emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
There would be times I was walking my dog and I can feel like the Grim Reaper, literally was in my shadow. And I would look back and there'd be nobody there.
Yeah.
Or I could feel this crazy presence that was like, do what you say you're going to do. You got to do what you say you're going to do.
One thing I always remember, because I forget a lot with my chemo brain, but one thing I always remember that phrase you use all the time is something about those are the stories you tell yourself, right? So talk a little bit about that.
So the stories that we tell ourselves will manifest if you believe them. Mm-hmm. I truly, truly, truly believe that with my heart of hearts that, you can speak something and not even care about it or not really attach yourself to it, and it'll never come to fruition. But there are things that if you repeatedly over and over buy into and believe them, eventually they will manifest themselves. And I mean, without going into super duper detail, like your body is like 85% water. And water is energy and it flows. And what we put into it, it follows. It's just science, not my science. It's like worldly science. They've done tons of studies on water and how water reacts to emotions, how water reacts to physical activity, and these types of things. So when you're emotionally disrupted is when disease can come in. Not that it will, but it can.
So what do you say to people, and I know we've had this conversation, but I think it's worth talking about so that because there's got to be other people out there going, well, what does that mean? Is she saying that if I get cancer, like I caused it because I thought about it? You know what I mean? And that's not what you mean.
That's not what I mean.
Right.
What I mean is that for me personally, years and years of angst, years and years of emotional upset around men from the time I was 2 all the way through, you know, for me, because I have DNA disruptions, that's what it manifested as. Doesn't mean that's going to happen to everybody. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is that we get sick as human beings because we don't care for ourselves physically or emotionally. It could be anything as a common cold, a sore throat. I mean, your body will respond to your feelings.
Like when I got the shingles, when I was stressed out on the verge of a breakdown.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things. Like I can remember when I was a kid and I didn't want to go to school. And I'd say, I have a tummy ache. And by the end of the day, my stomach would hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Oh, I have a fever.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, you really do. Or in a day or two, you really do. And I'm not saying that, you know, we cause it.
Do you think we can heal ourselves?
Absolutely. 100%.
Tell me about that.
So it starts with healing your emotions. Once your emotions can get healed and you can move beyond that, then the body will start to recover. Absolutely.
So what do you say to someone who says, well, I've had a really charmed life. I don't have any trauma. I haven't had any, you know, I can't find my word, but you know what I mean? Like if someone's literally had what they believe is a really healthy, great life, and then all of a sudden they have cancer, how do you explain that?
Well, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
However, there are other factors in the world. You know, there's chemical exposures.
Right.
There's water exposures.
Well, we know that.
In my case.
Water.
Many years of different factors.
Yeah.
So how do you combat that? There's really not, it's not rocket science. It's not like black and white, dead on, this is how it is, you know, newspaper print in stone.
So it's more of how you choose to handle it then?
It really is.
Okay.
I think it kind of is how you choose to think about it, how you choose to feel about it, and how you respond to it. Because if you think about people who are victims of domestic violence, for instance, there are those that go on to advocate and live a very well-balanced life and help other people get through it. And then there's those that never recover. And it's the same thing. It's about choice. It's about a decision. It's about working through the emotions of the event that created this and what you went through and moving through them, not to ever not feel them, not to ever dismiss them or not, you know, acknowledge them. You definitely have to acknowledge it.
You have to face it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge it and
keep
you have
moving.
to move through it. Feel every ounce of every single emotion so that you can actually let go of them.
Right.
Because when we harbor stuff and we hang on to stuff, that's when things start to get a little wonky.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about your book. Tell us about it. Why did you write it? When did you write it? Where can people get it?
So,
what do you want people to get from it?
Honestly, I just, okay, so we'll start. You asked many questions
yes,
there. So
just hit them all,
let's start with the first one. When did I write it? I did a lot of talking to myself and a lot of journaling when I was going through treatment. There were things that I did that were non-conventional that supported me. And I thought, well, shoot, if it worked for me, who am I? I'm nobody special. It could work for somebody else too. So I started kind of documenting some things, just kind of talk to text. I'd be driving in my car.
That's a great idea.
I was just talking out loud and letting my phone kind of record it, and then I would email it to myself. So I had, I kid you not,
how many emails did you have?
600 different emails of different paragraphs of different things. So it was a lot to put together.
I was going to say, oh my gosh, that's a lot to sort of filter and decipher and organize, right?
And so a good friend of mine who actually is the friend that knew the friend, said, let's meet in the park and let's put together an outline. I'll support you in gathering the thoughts and like putting title chapters to the event, and then you can plug in from there. I was like, okay. So that's kind of how that unfolded.
Okay.
What pushed me through to actually write it and finish it was a beautiful woman named Alita McDaniel. And I'm going to say her name because she is a powerful coach. Mm-hmm. She is a beautiful woman who challenged me and didn't put up with my bullshit.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Yeah, handle it.
Handle it. And the thing is when I get challenged like that, I don't back down.
No, you're a competitor.
So she said, I dare you. Oh, hell, dare me? Okay.
Right.
Well, I double dog dare, so here we go. Right. So I said, okay, I'll write it. Initially, it was just to finish it. And then I decided to go ahead and within that time frame, which was about 90 days, to publish it. So if you're looking at it and you do take an opportunity to read it, there are typos there.
Yeah,
it's raw.
Your goal was to simply get it down and finish.
It's raw.
Yeah.
It's raw. It's emotional. There is a major event that happened when I was 14 years old that to me was pivotal in the trajectory of my life. Mm-hmm.
I've started reading it. I haven't finished. I'm probably a third of the way. So I'm going to finish it by tonight.
Okay.
So why the title, My Lump or My Life?
Because I really had a decision to make. I can choose to hold on to this cancer that I've been hanging on to for 2 years in denial, or I could choose to live. I mean, eventually it would have killed me.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no doubt.
Oh, no doubt.
It was already into my lymphatic system. So,
right.
I mean, I could
And that's the way that it travels to other organs in your body.
Yeah. Absolutely. No. So I really had to, like, that's what it is. It's either I'm going to choose this and live with it the way that it is and do nothing, or I'm going to choose my life. So that's where the title came from.
What did you get out of writing your book?
Freedom. I got freedom of hanging on to the story.
Good.
I got freedom from the bind, if you will, of the definition of I'm a cancer survivor. And it's not that I will never not identify as that. It's just it's not who I am. It was an event and it was something that I went through, but it's not who I am.
And I think that's an important point because everybody has their own deal. We could do a whole episode on the titles, right? So some people are really offended by being called a breast cancer survivor. Some people are empowered by it. Some people want to be called a thriver. For me, in the beginning, I was like, I hate that word. I'm not thriving. Bitch, I just survived. It's how I felt, and that's how I felt. And you know what? That was truthful for me. I feel like I've gone past that now, but there was a period of time where no, I feel like I've just survived because I am now dealing with the aftermath of all my chemo side effects.
Of course. And I'm not saying I don't have side effects. I totally do.
Absolutely.
I totally do. What I do differently for me is I don't buy into them all day long. I don't talk about how they're affecting me every single day. Not saying I deny them because I go, really? We're going to do this today?
Yeah.
Today's not the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I acknowledge it and I work through it. Yeah.
You find a way. You find a way to manage it, just like you would anything else. If you have arthritis or whatever, you find a way to manage it. Yes, you know it's there and there's going to be bad days and good days, but
absolutely. And you kind of get accustomed to numb feet.
Yeah, you still have the numb feet.
I still have numb feet. Yeah. So there's times where my balance is off.
Yeah.
And you just learn to adapt.
Yeah. What's your best advice to someone just diagnosed with triple negative? Because those of us that have been diagnosed with breast cancer know, or anyone who's had exposure to the breast cancer world, we know that when we hear the type of triple negative breast cancer, that it is very dangerous. Not that the others are not, but this one is a little more dangerous, and I'll let you explain that.
I think the biggest reason it's the most dangerous is because it's undocumented, unresearched on many levels. It's new, if you will, within the last, not that it never existed before, but in the last 6 to 7 years, this is something that's showing up more and more. And I think it's more aggressive is what they say. And it's almost always caught really late because it doesn't show up the same as it does for others types of cancer, like in blood markers and stuff like that. Yeah. You don't see it there.
Right. There's also not like a follow-up treatment.
There's not.
So once you complete, like my breast cancer was estrogen fed. So for me, after I finished all my active treatment, I could choose to take a medication that would continue to try to block estrogen in hopes that it would greatly lessen my chances for a recurrence. Whereas triple negative, there's nothing you can take.
There's not.
Right.
In all honesty, I don't know that taking those things make you feel any better. Sometimes they have more side effects. And
well, physically speaking, I think that they never make you feel better. In many cases, they make you feel worse. Some people, though, do tolerate them okay. And again, that's one of those things where you got to do what works for you.
Absolutely.
I took tamoxifen for 2.5 years, or tamoxifen, then I tried 3 other AIs to block estrogen, and I couldn't tolerate any of them. And I've never had a problem with medication. But for me, the bone pain, the joint pain, the crazy psychotic behavior that I exhibited, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to prison or I'm going to come off this vacation. So for me, I had to really come to a peace about it and just say, you know what, I'm willing to take my chances because I need quality of life. Absolutely. And I'm not going to follow the standard of care and take these drugs. That was my choice. But other people I know have been on them for 10 years and really have very minimal side effects. So do what works for you. We're not here to tell you not to or that you have to. Yeah. I think it's important to read your story and others. And I know that people that are just diagnosed, often we're given a ton of novels and books and other people's stories. That is not the gift you want to give someone newly diagnosed. No. Wait till they get through their treatment. Absolutely. Then let them just suggest some books to them, like Ginny's book. Again, it's called My Lump or My Life, A Journey to True Choice. We have a book here at the Care Project called Handle with Care. I had to think about it. Handle with Care, or Your Breast Cancer Support Group in a Book with Wisdom from the Hive Mind. That is a huge mouthful. Go to the website, thecareprojectinc.org, or just Google Handle with Care, Your Breast Cancer Support Group. What is it called? Handle with Care, or Your Breast Cancer Support Group in a Book, right? Or Your Support Group in a Book. It's been a long damn day. I think, it's really important when someone's first diagnosed that you don't give them those novels because we'll scare the shit out of them.
Absolutely.
They're going to be in a fog trying to process their own diagnosis. They need a small handbook, tips and tricks and things they can do.
My best advice is to take a notepad with you.
Yeah, and somebody.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
Hands down. A note, and if you don't have a somebody, you definitely take the notepad. Or you ask to record your doctor's appointment.
I don't know of any doctor that won't let you audio record.
Why not?
Yeah.
Then you can listen back, and then it's not interpreted or what you think you remember.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information.
A lot of information that you don't even understand yet, and you probably won't for another year. And then you go back and you go, oh, now I understand that, right?
Yeah.
That's why when newly diagnosed come here, and you've been in those meetings where someone goes, well, my doctor said this. What does that mean? And you're like, oh, I can explain that. Ask your doctor X, Y, and Z. That's what's great about the Care Project's Survivor Social Club, because you have a wide variety of diagnoses and patients that have had wealth of information, whether they wanted it or not, and now they can help you sort of decipher your own. I just want to thank you for being my friend. I think you're an incredible person. We've had differences of, I don't know how you say it. It's not opinions.
Thinking.
Yeah, different lines of thinking, but we've always had respectful conversations and intelligent conversations back and forth. So, I would love for you to come and co-host with me one day.
Ooh, that's scary.
No, it's fun.
It sounds like fun.
I would do it. It's just a conversation like this. Listen, we're not medical professionals. We're just, people have had a common experience in hearing the words, you have breast cancer. And I think that there's many people listening that can benefit from our stories. And the lessons learned. What's your greatest lesson learned? What's the greatest lesson?
Do not procrastinate.
In anything in life?
In anything. Yeah. When you have the moment to step in and do something, do it now.
Do it.
Do it now.
Do it now. Yeah,
wait.
We work and we play with urgency, don't you say?
Way more than I ever thought possible.
Right. And we should have been doing this years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to live in regrets. However, I live life very urgent.
Yeah. Yeah, I work with a sense of urgency. I live with a sense of urgency. I seize the moment, and I don't give two shits what anybody thinks about me. I'm doing me.
That's the way to be.
Right? I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay with that.
You should be.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, rate, leave us a review, and don't forget to check out Ginny's book, My Lump or My Life. It's available on Amazon. Great. All right. Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Thank you for listening to Handle with Care, Breast Cancer and Beyond. Please let us know what you think of the show by leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to share it with a friend. For more information or to connect with Carrie, go to thecareprojectinc.org.